What up? I'm Bea and welcome to my channel. I hope you are having a great Thursday today and you are ready to talk about the Dani Cohn or Danielle Cohn or Danielle Cohn situation, however you want to say her name. We're going to be talking about the video that she posted last week, the person who leaked the audio, and pretty much everything in between. So I'll go ahead and just wait a few minutes so that people have time to get into the stream. We can catch up, hang out for a little bit, and then we will go ahead and get into all of that. Hi UA, hi South of Grace, I'm glad you guys are in here. Hi Oscar, hi Sarah, hi Potato McGee, Druggy Vibes, I am so happy you guys are in here. Are you having a good Thursday? It is almost Friday, I am ready. Hi Becca, hi Courtney, hi Baby Bunny. All right, you guys are getting in here like real quick, on time. I love it. I am so ready for Friday. The first week after you get back from like having time off work, I feel like is just the worst. So I need it. Stoked to catch another one of your streams. I'm so happy you are in here. Druggy Vibe said, how are you? OMFG, saw the video. It looked like someone was recording her. Yeah, it looks like, like you could see the camera frame like moving a little bit. And so I'm sure her mom was there like coaching her, telling her what to say. And we will get into all of that. Oscar said, my air has been broken for 3 days. It just got fixed today, thankfully. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine. That's horrible. Megan said, hey lady, love your videos. Thank you so much. Unicorn Blush said, B shirt. It's Birdie B. It says be fearless. Hi Siobhan. What video? So I guess we'll go ahead. I'm gonna wait like 30 more seconds just in case there's anyone who wants to get in real quick. But basically Danielle, the literal child who has a mom who just wants to make money off of her and put her on the internet for her own personal gain and lie about her age, recently had some audio leaked of a fight between herself and her mom, Jen, and in the audio, they are having a fight where they are discussing, I'm trying to think, what word do I want to use? Dani's procedure, essentially. I don't want to get like demonetized. So Dani had a pregnancy earlier this year and ended up terminating it. She had a procedure to terminate it, and in the audio, that's kind of what they're talking about. Jen essentially says, I let you get away with so much, I let you do so many things, I let you have this procedure, and it got a lot of people upset. Everyone was like, this is not okay. I don't know why you would leak this. And we ended up finding out who leaked it. We know why they leaked it. They did like an hour-long interview with Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. So we will be going over that in a little bit. But essentially, after that came out on the 20th last week, Dani posted a video talking about, you know, the truth about my procedure and explained basically her side of the story, that going through this experience, not just the procedure, but the pregnancy before it, was really hard and it was really upsetting, and she felt so incredibly alone. She didn't have anybody. The person who got her pregnant, she says it was just a one-time thing. She was pressured into it, and you know, you think this isn't going to happen to you, and then it does, and then you have to deal with it. And she says that she went to a Planned Parenthood and did this all on her own. Now, I've seen a ton of support for Dani, telling her, like, this isn't your fault. It's so messed up that your information got leaked. Like, this is not okay. We support you. You're handling this in a very mature way. But there are just some kind of concerns and discrepancies when you actually look into the details. Megan said it's 110 here. I don't know what it is here today, but I feel you because we get that hot in my city. Unicorn blushed that I can't believe going through all that so young publicly. Yeah, that's horrifying. Oscar said, because going through that isn't already hard enough. Geez. Siobhan said, poor girl. Yeah, so that, I mean, thankfully, that is the general consensus of this sucks that you had to go through this in the first place, and that it's being publicly, like, it wasn't made public on your terms. It was made public on the terms of somebody else. And so everybody was really on Dani's side, going against this person who leaked it. And I watched the interview that the person who leaked it did with Without a Crystal Ball, and I had a lot of opinions on it. So we're going to go ahead and go over that. And Sarah, she, I believe, is 14. So, Siobhan, part of the interview is basically they said that the person who leaked the audio they thought was a friend. Turns out they just wanted to use them for fame. I think that this is probably Jen, Dani's mom. I think these are her words, and she's convincing Dani to present Virginia in this way. But Virginia said that she knows Dani and she knows Jen because in Florida, she has a daughter who's about Dani's age. They went to the same elementary school together. They were friends, and they would have been in the same class, but her daughter ended up getting held back, or she decided to hold her back for a year when they moved to Florida. So she was a grade under what she technically should have been, and that Dani is 6 months older than her daughter. So according to Virginia, Dani is 14. She said the 2006 birth certificate is a legitimate document. She's 14. So that's kind of what I'm going with. Courtney said, I heard about the recording getting leaked. That is disgusting. Someone her age shouldn't have to go through that publicly, and I feel for her. Hope she is all right. Yeah, like I said, I literally cannot imagine not only going through that I presume she was 13 at the time, and then having to talk about it publicly. Like, how absolutely traumatizing that would be, I cannot even process. Potato McGee said, I feel bad she was pretty much forced into internet fame in the first place, and now this, I just feel so bad for her. Right. And that was a big part of the interview and the conversation, was the fact that Jen is the one who pushes so many of these different things onto Danielle. The way she dresses, all the heavy makeup, posing in provocative manners, like, this is all Jen, according to Virginia. And we've, of course, heard these allegations before. Like, her dad has said things along those lines of, this is all Jen. Jen is telling her what to do, how to pose, how to act, all of this stuff. And I mean, if anything, this just further supports that idea, and that's, I guess the more information we have and the more, like, confirmation of that we have, it's good. But I feel like the real kind of question at this point is, like, what do we do with that information? What do you do about a mom using their child for money, for fame, forcing her into a lifestyle that, maybe she doesn't want? Because I think Dani likes being famous. She likes being on TikTok and doing fun stuff. But I would assume as a 14-year-old, she probably wants to do it on her own terms. Taylor Cooper said Keemstar shouldn't be publicly shaming her for it. Oh, of course Keemstar is. I didn't see what he said, but of course. UA said, yeah, the way some of these drama channels report on these things is disgusting. She's just a little girl. Yeah. Megan said, I'm not mad at the leak because in the end Danielle will be okay if she can get away and help, but Jen is basically running a child sex ring and she needs locked up. So, I mean, I think that's part of the discussion that I wanted to have with you guys, is because Virginia basically said that throughout their 5 to 6 year friendship, she has seen a lot of disturbing things. She has been brought in to mediate fights between Dani and her mom. She's been brought in to mediate other situations between Dani and the adults and Jen and other adults in their lives. She has seen, this is going to be upsetting if you experience domestic violence, but she has seen Jen slam Dani's head into a wall, allegedly because she didn't want to do a musically or because she was doing it wrong. She didn't really specify, but this Virginia woman said that she has seen verbal and physical abuse on a continuous basis in that home. And so she says that the reason that she leaked it was to finally get something done about it. Now, this was stated multiple times in the interview. She has contacted CPS. Virginia has contacted CPS on multiple occasions, and she says that Danielle will lie for Jen. So if CPS comes around, they ask about allegations. Danielle says, no, everything's good. My mom's great. We love each other. That's it. Basically shut them down. But she said, like, something needs to be done because I feel like this is going to ruin Danielle's life. So, I want to believe that this woman had good intentions, but she said that she was recording a lot of things that were happening, and she had a lot of different fights caught on camera, caught on audio tape, like not tape, but like audio recorded. So she had a lot of different things that would make Jen look bad, and I kind of, in my opinion, I kind of think that she probably could have picked another audio clip to do this with, because this will hurt Danielle far more than it will hurt Jen if something doesn't happen from this. You know, if CPS doesn't come in and decide that they're going to maybe give custody to her father or her uncle, ultimately, this is going to hurt Danielle. This is hurting Danielle. Jen is saying that she had no idea about the abortion. She didn't know. Danielle is saying, my mom had no idea. I did it all on my own. But I don't really believe that. Jules McPhee said, has CPS ever been called on her mom? Yeah, it's been, CPS has been called several times. Siobhan said, my mother has worked with CPS before, and they have limited power if the child is healthy and their basic needs are met, basic being food, clothes, shelter. Yeah, and I think, I think that's a totally understandable thing. CPS only has so much. They only have so many resources, and if a child is not in immediate danger, if a child has enough food, has clean water, has clean clothes, and a nice place to live, or like a decent place to live, there's only so much they can do, even if somebody's not necessarily the best fit to be a parent. So, I mean, it gets kind of sticky when you're talking about people's relationships with their kids. But, I mean, like, I just don't know. I don't know what they were called in for on those previous calls. But I think this one is maybe going to be a little bit different because it is so highly publicized. Unicorn Blush said, that's so whack. How does CPS not feel uncomfortable by her internet presence alone? I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's just like, maybe they don't like it, but they don't necessarily have grounds to do anything about it. You know, in the grand scheme of things, when you think about what people are going through, like you think about the other cases that they're going to be called in for, Danielle just kind of seems like lowest risk level. She has plenty of money. She has adult supervision because I'm sure her mom is, on her best behavior there. Danielle does whatever her mom says and backs her up 100%. So Danielle's going to say, I'm fine, there's no problem. And then you think about CPS coming into this situation compared to what they could be walking into. Children with bruises, children who are very clearly being neglected, children who have parents who are addicts or are just abusive or neglectful or just don't care about their kids, and they don't have enough food, they don't have a clean place to sleep. Like when you compare what Danielle is versus probably the worst thing that they saw that week, it sucks that they haven't done anything about it and that they haven't been able to, but it's one of like the harsh realities of the system in America, I suppose. Natalie said CPS has an incredibly high threshold for what will be removal worthy. However, family might be different. What is the situation with her dad? Her dad, from what I have heard, it wants Danielle. Like, I don't know if he wants to have custody of her. I think he has said on several occasions that he would like to get her away from her mom. He seems like a decent person, but we don't really know a ton about him. But he's very against Danielle's online presence. He didn't even want her to do pageants when she was younger. So he's not all aboard this. He's not on board with everything that's happening. Jules McPhee said there should be some branch of CPS that deals with social media, so much opportunity for exploitation. Definitely. That would be, I mean, if they could get that to happen, that would be incredible. Courtney, I'm glad you asked this question. Courtney said, wouldn't Dani as a minor need a parent to get said procedure, or am I wrong and she could do it herself? So, I don't know exactly where Dani was living at the time. I believe it was Florida. Apparently, she kind of goes back and forth between Florida and California. So if this was in California, she would not need permission from her parents. They do not have a legal threshold for like under 18 to get this procedure done. She could have gotten it just by going in and filling out all the necessary paperwork, yada, yada, yada. However, I do believe she was living in Florida at the time. And in Florida, if you are under 18, you have to have parental permission. There's no getting around it. The only ways that you can get around it are if you are emancipated, which Dani is not, or you can get something called a judiciary bypass. And if you're going to do that, you have to go to a courthouse, fill out some paperwork, you have to apply for it, go before a judge, and then if the judge determines that, yes, you can get this abortion without telling your parents, then you, oh, I said it. Shoot. That's not funny. But it just slipped out. You can get the procedure without telling your parents, and then you can go ahead and take that to Planned Parenthood, wherever you're going, and get it. But I feel like that's like a process, and that's maybe a lot of work that Dani, as a 13-year-old at the time, might not have been aware of and might not have like taken the initiative to do it. Like, in my opinion, I believe that Jen knew about it. I believe that Jen probably told her, you have to get this procedure done, because if you don't, you're going to ruin your career. That's just my opinion, though. Alright, let's see. Megan said, I think Danielle loathes her mom. I mean, I'm sure she has like mixed feelings about her mom, because she probably wants her mom to love her and just be a regular mom, but she's mad that she doesn't. And that was something that Virginia had said too. She's like, I just want my mom to be a mom. Like, I don't want her to force me to do all these poses and everything. Like, I just want her as my mom. Druggy Vibe said, LA Child Services sucks. I think it sucks everywhere, but especially in like densely populated areas. I can't even. I'm sure it's horrible. Unicorn Blush said, YouTube really makes us far more PC than we need to be. I know. I'm like, words exist for a reason, and so I like using the proper words, but I also like not having my video suppressed or demonetized, so I toe the line sometimes. Chantel said she was 13, OMG. Yeah, and they said, yeah, I absolutely agree, the mother knew. I mean, I feel like, how could she not? Like, Danielle would tell her. I just feel like she would. Megan said, but her manager was the one by her side through it. Yeah, that is what Virginia had said is that her mom knew and the manager knew, and then the manager was like telling her like how to take care of it and that she would go with her for the procedure. So I think the mom knew. Danielle is saying that she didn't, but I don't know. I don't believe that. So basically, I mean, I don't know what happens from here. Essentially, Virginia had said that, she made the report with CPS. She leaked the audio. She said, I didn't do it for clout. I didn't do it under my own name. I just wanted to do it to ultimately help Danielle. And now, as a result of that, Virginia is also under investigation from CPS because Jen filed a report against her. And so Jen is saying that there are no CPS cases, that this is not happening, like she's not being investigated at all. But Virginia says she is, and our cases are like intermingled with each other, so like they wouldn't be able to close it without closing mine. I don't know how true that is, but Virginia says they're both being investigated. Siobhan said, this poor child. I can't imagine. YouTube censors edgy content, but family channels are probably doing the most harm and the easiest to exploit. Yeah. This is like a constant problem on YouTube. I mean, like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, there was the whole adpocalypse thing where everybody was trying to be more family friendly so they wouldn't get their channels demonetized, so that way they could still make a living in the way that they had been making a living, because I don't know, advertisers wanted family friendly content. And I mean, I think it's fine to want family friendly content, but YouTube takes it so far, and it really created this environment where family vloggers thrive. Like, they make so much money, and it 1000% leads to exploitation because kids cannot consent to this kind of thing. Like, they don't have a say when their parents are putting a camera in their face, filming them day and night when they're having a fit, when they're going through embarrassing things. Like, parents, I don't understand how you can have a kid and just exploit them like that. Like I get it, you think your kid is cute and you think your kid is funny and you know that you can make money sharing them, but they just go so far sometimes. Oscar said there should really be laws about publicly releasing information like that about a minor on social media. Potato McGee said, honestly, as sad as it is, I wouldn't be surprised if Dani is just going along with what her mom tells her to say so the situation doesn't get worse. Yeah. Chantel said CPS is not a retaliation tactic. Yeah, absolutely. Daphne said, I came in super late. What was leaked? There was audio of Dani Cohn and her mom having a fight about a procedure to terminate a pregnancy when Dani got pregnant earlier this year. Kaylin said, as someone who worked with advertisers, I know it's way more of their issue than YouTube. They are very sensitive and intense. I just feel like it's so interesting because we're going to go back to Dani in a second. But like, things that are on TV sometimes are like way worse than what gets you demonetized on YouTube. And so I feel like maybe the advertisers are sensitive, and then YouTube is sensitive too. And then you add them together and it's just like ultra horrible. And the thing for me is like, I don't know, it's irrelevant. I'm like, I tried to use language in the way that it was intended to be used, and even when we're having like serious non-gratuitous conversations, sometimes YouTube says, oh, you can't say that word. You can talk about the subject, but you can't say that word, so you're done. It's weird. But anyway, Christina said, honestly, child labor laws need to be updated for modern media, and we see what happens to child actors when they grow up, so imagine these YouTube kids. Exactly. Yeah, like, kids have like their own union now. They have like all these rules. They can't work a certain amount of time. Like, they have a very limited amount of time they can be on set. They have to be in school, all this stuff. And I feel like there needs to be an update. Like, there needs to be some kind of landmark court case that is going to launch this. And then it'll help protect these kids because they are so getting taken advantage of. So Chantel said, just thinking back on some stuff from my childhood is so cringe. I can't imagine having that online forever. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of the conversation is like there was what is it from like 8 Passengers, Ruby, is that who it was? She had a conversation about like puberty with her kids and they were like, "Hey, like can we not talk about this on camera?" And she literally just ignored them and kept going. And so I feel like if you want to have family vlogs, there are ways to do it where you're still respecting the privacy of your kid and you're not embarrassing them. Like, I can't imagine having myself, like, seeing myself throw a fit or, like, be annoying or do something embarrassing and just have people have their eyes on me in my personal life, not just, like, as a child actor in a movie, like, my actual personal life into adulthood. Kaylin said, remember US Skins on MTV in 2011-ish? There was all this drama because these advertisers backed out because it was too edgy. Potato McGee said, also Jen using CPS to retaliate against Virginia takes away time that could be spent helping another child. Right. Like, and I don't know what she reported her for. Like, I have no idea. But it's ridiculous. Courtney said, little kids on YouTube are such a weird concept because they're exposed at such a young age to millions of strangers, and from the day they are born, they make their parents money. Yeah. Diana said, although one of the issues with child labor laws on YouTube is definitely going to be how to regulate the parents profiting off the kids, setting aside money for kids' hours, working, etc. Yeah. I mean, they can do it with child actors, so there has to be a way. Like, there has to be some kind of system in order. I mean, I know it might be harder because you could get, like, a contract for a movie and see how much the kid was paid, whereas with YouTube, it depends on the month, but there has to be some kind of reporting system to protect these kids. And honestly, I think it is so dangerous for families to have their kids out there. Like, I get it. Your kid is cute. You want to show your kid off. Your kid's funny, whatever. But it's very unsettling, like, the thought of putting a kid out there for millions of people to see, like you guys were saying. Like, that is your child. That is somebody who has no way to defend themselves, like, has no awareness of the consequences of being seen by that many people. Because I think about it in terms of, like, if I was walking out somewhere and, like, somebody who saw me on YouTube saw me out on the street and was like, oh, hey B, I would, depending on where I was, stop, say hi. But if I was, like, walking to my car and somebody approached me and they were calling my name and, like, running after me, I'd get in my car and I would not respond. But you have a kid who's, like, 7 or 8 years old, someone who recognizes them, they call their name, they say, oh, hey, I know you were at the water park last week with your mom, how was it? And then they can abduct your kid because they have all this information about them. Like, that's how my process works. Allie said, and just to think that a few years ago, kids had to sneak behind their parents' backs to get MySpace, Facebook, because strangers on the internet were the scariest thing. Right, and then you have Jen Archambault telling her daughter to lie about being 13 so she can join Musical.ly. Christina said, you can still have a family channel, but you don't need the kids in the videos. Right, like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a parent, but I also kind of don't get the appeal of watching kids all the time. Like, I don't, they're cute, I love kids, that's great, but, like, if you have a channel about being a family, I feel like I would be interested in much different content than having the kids on camera all the time. But that's just me. Joker's Ghost said, our tribe of many is one of the very few family channels who respect their children's privacy. These adults make me sick. And I love that. I mean, if you're going to put your kid out there, like, make your own decision, but do it respectfully. Like, respect your kid, They are still a person. They are not something for you to profit off of. They're not like a mannequin that you can just position however you want and control completely. They have autonomy. They are a child. Like, you shouldn't have a kid just to control them. Siobhan said, it's like when you tell your mom a secret and then hear her telling it to your aunt on the phone times a million. Yeah, really. Joker's Ghost said, P.S. Sorry I haven't been here lately. I've been really busy with ACNH and life stuff. No worries. I was gone last week, so we all take a break sometimes. You know, Crumblush said that would creep me out. Seriously. Potato McGee said, assuming no one wants to completely remove family channels, I think a percentage of whatever the child makes on YouTube should have to go to them or a special account for their future. Crumblush said, that's the worst part. Kids lie about their age to join, but being told to lie to join by your guardian. Right. Oscar said, stay safe, UAC. Oh, UA's leaving. This is getting a little triggering, so I'm going to dip out. Catch you in the next live. Yes, stay safe. Totally understand. Protect your mental health over everything. I hope you have a good rest of your day. But, yeah, as far as what Potato McGee said, I think that's such a, like, good idea, because you can totally help your kids. Like, your kids can benefit 1000% from a YouTube channel, but it's up to the parent to respect their kid and to, like, have the foresight to think about, I'm making money because people want to see them. Like, they should have a trust fund. They should have a college fund. This money should be going to them in some capacity. It's so kind of creepy, I feel like, to rely on your kid for your income. Like, that's just the definition of exploitative. And it's, excuse me, I feel like that would be so much pressure for a kid, because kids are smarter than you think they are, and they know, like, they will be able to at some point register the fact you're making money because of me. So, like, they have this pressure to maintain that because they don't want to let their parents down, I feel like. Tanisha Graham said, have a good night, UA. Crumblush said, take care, UA. You guys are so kind to each other. I love it. Kaylin said, everyone should watch Showbiz Kids on HBO. It's a great documentary that's all about child actors in Hollywood. Very relevant to this discussion. That sounds super interesting. Courtney said, the idea that my future nieces and nephews' pictures and personal info just being out there is wild. I don't see my siblings doing that, but it's such a scary thought. Right. Joker's Ghost said, hey, Timmy, I'm gonna invade your privacy to millions of people on YouTube and exploit you for views. Yeah, it's so odd to me. Like, I was telling you guys, I was with my sister and her kids last week, and I cannot even fathom putting their images out there. And they are cute kids, and I love, like, I have pictures of them. They're so cute. They're so funny and, like, lovable. And I would love to, like, share them with you guys. Be like, look how cute these kids are. But I know that opens them up to literally anyone with bad intentions, anyone who is, doesn't just want to look at a picture of a kid and say, cute kid, and move on. Like, it is a very risky thing. Even if you're not somebody creating content on YouTube, if you have a public Instagram profile, if you share all your photos on Facebook and you don't have, like, lockdown privacy settings, it is a super scary situation. Oscar said, I don't even have kids, but you could not catch me putting my child on the internet like that in any capacity. Diana Starr said, additionally, I don't know how, but if the age of consent to get Instagram is 13 plus, putting regulations will change how family vloggers operate if a child can consent to being online before 13, etc. Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like people are going to kind of swerve around that just like Dani did. But there needs to be some kind of union or some kind of agency. Like, this is why YouTube needs to get more mainstream, because the money that people make on YouTube should make it mainstream. Like, there needs to be regulation when you involve minors. There just does. Siobhan said, it just reminds me of old child stars Britney Spears, Aaron Carter. Supporting your family as a child is definitely traumatic to a degree. Yeah, like it really is. It's such like a high pressure situation. And last week I watched Honey Boy, which is Shia LaBeouf from like Even Stevens, all the Disney Channel movies. Speaking of, oh my gosh, what was that movie? The movie that he was in, it was like True Life or something, where he played a kid with special needs. Irrelevant, but I loved that movie as a kid. But it showed like his childhood, how his dad was like a deadbeat dad, and he had to come back and like stay with him, like in California, so he could film this TV show. And he told his dad, like in the movie, like, you're only here because I pay you. You wouldn't be here if I wasn't paying you. Because his dad was like getting money to act as his guardian. And kids know that. That's so traumatizing. Potato McGee said, and it's so hard to determine if a kid actually consents to being on camera or if they're just doing it because they feel like their parents will be upset if they don't. Yeah, for sure. Like that's again something that a parent has to be considerate of their kid. And it's such a weird thing to say, like, yeah, you should be considerate of your kid, and not expect that that's like the standard. It's so weird to me. Ali Perez said, so an old J-vlogging couple called Texan in Tokyo stopped their channel altogether when they were ready to have children. Props to them. That takes a lot to be able to like just straight up walk away when you're having success. So props to them. 8 Jane said, I had a public Instagram page and stopped posting pics of my kid because of that reason. It's now private. Straight up had a pedo looking on it, looking for things. So gross. Ugh, that's horrifying. Chantal said, my sister had a terrible habit of letting her 4-year-old daughter walk around naked a lot, and she takes pics, videos of her doing cute things naked and shares them on Facebook. It's so uncomfortable. I don't know what WTF she's thinking. Yeah, that, like, it's hard because as a parent, like as a healthy parent, you look at your kid and you don't think anything of them being naked, and you're like, oh, they're doing something cute, I'm gonna send it to my sister or my friend or my mom or whatever. And like, as long as you have healthy adults in your circle that you're sending it to who aren't looking at the fact that your kid is naked, that's totally fine. That's one thing. But the second you upload it to Facebook, like, anybody could see that. Kaylin said, True Confessions. Ah, yeah, that's what it was called, where she was like filming the documentary. Ooh, that movie made me cry so much as a kid. Christina said, I also wonder what these kids will think consent and boundaries is after growing up being put on the internet with little to no say. Yeah. Oh, Courtney said, I cried so hard. I love that movie. Oh my gosh, South of Grace said, True Confessions is a good movie. Makes me sad though. Yeah, that movie made me like tear up so hard. I was like, oh my god. I still remember it to this day. Like the scene when he's in the library and he's having like a breakdown because he knows he's not like the other kids. Ugh, my heart. Anyway, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how this just turns out for these kids, because they're going to grow up in a world where they don't really get to exercise their autonomy. And of course, they're not the first kids like that, but they are growing up in a world where they are constantly told what they can and can't say yes or no to. Like, they're getting told, you have to have a camera in your face. You have to do this. You're on camera. They want to see a happy kid. They want to see you being funny. Like, they're going to have a weird time processing their emotions, I feel like. Caitlin said, I have an aunt who posts photos of my cousins, ages 1 to 12, and considering their ages, their images could be found and used to bully them at school, online, which is irresponsible, and that's normal, kids. Yeah, like, you open your kid up to a lot of risk when you are putting them just on a public social media platform, and that's part of the reason that, like, That's one thing that I really admire about Mindy Kaling is she has been so private with her child. And yeah, I'm nosy. Like, I want to see that baby, but that's just because I think babies are cute. Like, I totally think that it is such a good idea. And not that there's anything wrong with showing pictures of your kids. You guys know, like, whatever. I'm not going to make a million disclaimers. That's something that I really admire about her, is the fact that she kept her pregnancy and her kid so private. Victoria said, the problem is that YouTube doesn't provide rights for YouTubers under 18. The fact that parents expose their child is not okay if they have privacy or the image is not sexualized, but it'd still be a problem. Yeah. And it's hard because, like, part of the reason people love YouTube so much is because it is so personal and it's so much up to, like, what you want to put on the internet and what you want to talk about and how you want to do it and all that. And so I don't really know how you make these regulations without, like, getting rid of that aspect of it, or if there's, like, a more rigorous process to get monetized. Like, I don't know what you can do, but something needs to be done, because parents like Jen Archambault are lying about their kids' age and making them do things they don't want to do because they know they'll get money from it. And this leads to so much harm for the child. Like, Jen's probably mad that the audio got leaked, but she's not probably sitting in her bed crying about the fact that she had to explain how she terminated a pregnancy at the age of 14 to millions of people. It's so sad. Joker's Ghost said, look, I'm not a parent, but Dani's Insta photos are disgusting. She's, 11, 12? The replies to her photos are predators saying how hot she is. She's a kid. Yeah. She's, from what we can surmise, 14. She is a literal child. Like, she's a teenager. She's a child. She's a kid. I mean, let your kids dress how they want, but, like, Jen is forcing her to wear more, like, form-fitting, form-accentuating clothing than what Dani would choose, according to Virginia. Like, Virginia said that Dani would want to go get, like, she would want to get, like, Jordans, joggers, and, like, a crop top. And I'm like, that's a cute thing. Like, I'd let my kid wear a crop top if they were 14. Probably. I don't know. I'm not a parent. But, like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, depending how short it was, you could probably wear a crop top. Like, that's cute for a 14-year-old. Not a tight-fitting bodycon dress or a bikini with a thong bottom. Absolutely not. Absolutely. Ooh, like, if I had a 14-year-old wearing that, no, sir. Elbeth said, my parents weren't YouTubers, but something that always sticks out in my memory is how they would ignore any boundaries, and it really messes with you. Yeah. Like, people can get disrespected, and, like, it can mess with them in any situation. I think it's just even more intense on YouTube. Like, it's damaging no matter what when you try to set a boundary with your parent, or you try to stand up for yourself, or kind of, like, set a standard of, this makes me feel uncomfortable, or I don't like being around this person, or I don't like when you treat me like this or touch me like this, or, like, you know, like, you have to kind of, as you grow up, set that standard for yourself when things are uncomfortable. And if you have it ignored, that can be so incredibly damaging. And then imagine just having it broadcasted to millions, like, amplified to millions of people. It would just be horrifying. Oscar said, yeah, the YouTuber Unnatural Vegan is the same way. She won't even say the genders when mentioning them. That's great. Like, I really do appreciate seeing parents who would care about protecting their kids' privacy. The Marthaful said, I have kids. I don't like to share their pics online and never share their names. I watch my kids watching these kids and family YouTubers, and it's also staged and sad to me. They're always on. Yeah, that's going to be exhausting for a kid, too. South of Grace said she shouldn't even be having sex at that age. Like, I know teenagers have sex, but I get the feeling that she has just been overly sexualized and abused as a child. One of the titles of her videos from last year was Our First Time, and it's super suggestive, seriously. My mom, that's from Chantal. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, again, you know, teenagers are gonna do what teenagers are gonna do, but I don't think, you know, in her video she said this was a one-time thing. That's the only time I had it. I made a mistake. It led to this, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like we all probably know that that wasn't the first time she had sex. Like, I can't say for sure, but it's kind of safe to assume that because she has been so over-sexualized, because her mom has pushed her to have boyfriends who are significantly older than her, there are allegations, can neither confirm nor deny, that Jen wanted to set up a sex tape with Mikey Tua and post it between, you know, Mikey and Dani, even though Mikey is over 18. So you have to kind of put the pieces together and assume that she is doing that. And you know, you don't know what she would have done if she was a typical kid, but I feel like she was exposed to a lot of things a lot earlier than most parents would like, because of everything going on in her life and because of the way that her mom is. Chantal said, my mom used to take all the clothes she thought were too revealing and hide them behind the washing machine. That's funny. Tanisha said, if my mom saw me in that at 14, I would not be here right now. It's not okay to exploit your child for anything. Absolutely. Elle Bell said, when your boundaries are constantly brushed aside or ignored, it teaches you that there's really no point in advocating for yourself, because what's the point? That. Exactly. That is spot on. Joker's Ghost said it would be different if she just posted herself in like a sweater or something a 14-year-old would post, but she's not. Jen is taking pics of a kid basically naked, and it freaks me out. Right. Like, this, from where I stand and from what Virginia has said, like, I really feel like this is all Jen. Tatum McGee said, it's just so weird. She had to make a My First Time video at how old? 12 to 14. I don't think I would watch that content from anyone. But also, she's barely a teenager now. Right. Like, that's a very, I don't know, that's a very specific audience I feel like you're going to be playing to. You know, I was looking at, for a different video, I was looking at Trisha Paytas's most viewed videos, and there's a video of, like, me and my boyfriend in the shower together, and I'm like, why would I want to watch that? Like, as, like, I get it if I was, like, interested in, like, maybe having some intimate time with myself and I wanted to watch it, but, like, just posting it as, like, a typical YouTube video on just, like, a regular channel, because this was from years ago, it was her and Sean, like, you're trying to elicit a specific reaction out of posting that video, and you have someone who is barely a teenager posting it. What do you think people are going to do with that? What do you think people are going to do to a My First Time video? What do you think their intention is going to be when they click on that video? Even if it's a clickbait title, you're bringing people with bad intentions to your kid's channel. Allie said, I'm so glad my parents took privacy very seriously. They really valued independent decision making. Wow, opposite with so many of these parents. Whatever happened to parents supporting their kids? Right. Siobhan said, Jen is the stage mom extreme. She really is. Like, she pushes Dani so hard. It's crazy. 8 Jane said, a lot of parents act as if allowing kids to set boundaries is difficult. It isn't simple as listening to no when they don't want tickled or refuse a hug makes it easier as teens to communicate. Yeah, and I think that that's a super important thing to kind of teach kids, that they have a say in how they're treated or how they're touched. And I mean, I can maybe see how as a parent, like, you maybe wouldn't take them seriously if they say, like, stop tickling me. Like, you're like, I'm your parent, like, I'm gonna keep messing with you, I'm gonna tickle you, I'm gonna be goofy, like, all this stuff. But even something when you think it's kind of innocent, or when you think that it's not gonna cause harm, it can ingrain in their head that, like, you know, I'm sorry, I don't remember who was saying it, but, like, why even advocate for myself? Why say what I want? Why say how I should be treated? Because it's going to get ignored anyway. Like, I don't deserve to have this say in how I'm touched or how I'm talked to or how I'm treated, because it gets ignored. And even in stuff where it's, like, a little bit more serious, sometimes parents, I feel like, have this idea of, well, I created you literally with my own body, so I have complete control over you. And that is so unhealthy. Christina, great point. She said also, if she is having sex and seems to not be any type of birth control, and the guy might not be either, how will she not get an STI? Yeah, that's, like, overall, I disagree with Jen's parenting choices, but if Jen is encouraging this in her kid, and openly knows about it with her kid engaging in this behavior, she needs to make sure that Dani's safe. She needs to make sure that Dani is educated. And of course, accidents happen, mistakes happen. Birth control condoms, they're not 100% effective, but she needs to do what she can to protect her kid. And I think that's what it comes down to, is Jen doesn't care about protecting Dani. She cares about making money from her. And that's, like, one of the things that is just so horrifying. Like, I was almost, you guys know me, I cry a lot. I was almost crying at, like, Dani's video talking about it, because yeah, I've, like, come to the realization that her mom probably knew, but I was thinking about Dani being 13, being a kid, being exposed to so much, and having so much of her own personal life out on the internet, having sex, getting pregnant, the guy not wanting anything to do with her, which Virginia said was a lie. She said that they basically shut this guy out and wanted to make it look like he abandoned her to make her more sympathetic, which I think she's very sympathetic in the first place, because she's 13 and she had to have a procedure to terminate a pregnancy by her, well, with her mom, but just in general, that's such a scary thing and that's such a big decision. It's not like going in to get your tonsils taken out. That's a serious procedure. That's kind of scary. But you're not terminating a pregnancy. You're not deciding, am I going to be a mom or am I not? You know, because, I mean, the thing about terminating pregnancies is, I don't think anyone looks at that and says, I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to go to Planned Parenthood. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to go to Planned Parenthood and have that procedure done. I think people say, well, this is what needs to be done, so I'm going to do it. You know, nobody would think that that was a fun experience. And so thinking about her at 13 going through this, whether she's alone or with her mom or whatever, is just, it's devastating. And what I hope happens is a serious change from this. We've seen it before, like, big YouTubers don't really have a ton of consequences all the time, especially, like, long-term consequences for the actions that happen. People have talked about, like, mistreatment of kids on YouTube, on certain videos, stuff like this, and in some cases they get shut down, in some cases they don't. But I really do hope that a legitimate CPS investigation takes place, and maybe they can, like, look through the records. They can look through the records in California and Florida and say, like, this is a continual problem, and now she's telling the world that she had this procedure done by herself. So what's the deal? You know, whether she did or didn't, I don't think she had it by herself, but she's telling the world that in Florida, where you have to be 18 or older to get this procedure done, she got it done by herself. Let's have a chat about this. Let's reevaluate what's okay and what's not okay, and maybe we can get some joint custody between dad and mom. Like, that's, at the very least, that's what I hope will happen, but who knows. Tanisha said she really doesn't care because if she did, she would stop. Poor Dani. Right, like, her mom does not care. She just doesn't. Oscar said she had to grow up way too fast. Caitlin said a child who is sexualized as a commodity from a young age is not going to communicate well in sex. She is also at risk of assault and abuse, even in a procedure has been turned into a video opportunity. Right. Like, she is going to have such boundary issues, and I can only assume self-esteem issues with having her worth, essentially, and like her breadwinning ability tied to being sexual. Because again, like, as an adult, if you want to make that decision to like make that your brand and make that, you know, how you earn your money, that's one thing. But as a little kid, it's really, really, really different. Count Von Lilson said, sadly, seems like a lot of the people with narcissistic traits are now parents looking for an opportunistic way to use this platform. They really are, and they found it with their kid. Like, it's terrifying. Like, this platform is great, but it definitely allows for destructive or unhealthy behavior to thrive. The Marthaful said it's terrifying as a full-grown adult. Yeah, like, it's not a fun thing to do. So imagine how maybe, like, if you've had this type of procedure, how you felt at whatever age you were. And then you imagine, like, doing it at 13. Like, my heart. Caitlin said if Jenna is open about sex with Dani, she could at least help her practice safe sex. Right. And that's the thing. If you are going to let her live with her boyfriend, if you're going to, like, bring him into your house, let him live with you guys, overly sexualize her, make her this icon, this symbol of, like, being provocative and, like, put her in that light, at least do what you can to help her, to protect her, to prevent her from unwanted pregnancies, from STIs, from STDs, from being in abusive relationships. Like, at least protect her at the very base level of her physical body. Victoria said in the video, she says that she told her mother about the procedure after she had it. Like, it's not legal to have one under 18. I think her mother told her to do it. Yeah, and depending on which state she did it in, it may have been legal for her to have it under 18. If she was in California at the time, it would have been legally fine. But if they were in Florida, she would have needed that consent. And so, I mean, my opinion, her mom knew. South of Grace said, I have to go get ready for my Twitch stream, but I've enjoyed the conversation. Have a good night. Bye, Grace. Have a good Twitch stream. Have fun reacting to spooky videos. Joker's Ghost said, Caitlin at 13, 14, she shouldn't be doing that, but if she is, the very least, Jen should make sure her daughter is taking necessary precautions. Right. Natasha said, I'm a little older than Dani, and the whole situation makes me so sad. It's a sad overall situation. The Marthaful said, at 13, I was buying my first CD, rollerblading to my neighbor, and watching music videos, and having our first crushes. Right. At 13, I don't think I even had, like, my first, like, kiss as, like, a teenager, like, my first teenage kiss, you know, like, the one that you think about when you're like, my real first kiss. I didn't even have that at 13. I cannot even, like, the thought of having something so much more mature than that at that age is really hard to reconcile in your brain. In my brain, anyway. Potato McGee said, I would have been terrified to make the decision to have my wisdom teeth pulled at 13 or 14. I can't even begin to imagine having to make that decision. Absolutely. Siobhan said, I hope Chris Hansen leaves this alone. We can only hope. Like, please, Chris Hansen, don't stick your talons into this. But that's pretty much all I have. This was a super interesting conversation. I know it was a bit of a sensitive topic, so I want to thank all of you guys for how respectful and how open you guys are. You're great at doing that anyway, but I just especially want to thank you when we were talking about stuff like this. Like, this can get pretty heavy, so I definitely appreciate it. If you have any last thoughts you want to go ahead and put out, get them in right now. I'm going to drink some water while you type because we're on a bit of a delay. So go ahead and put those in if you have any last thoughts, and then I'm going to be peacing out. The Mirthful said was nice to finally be here. I get so sad when I like finish a stream and then you guys comment, oh, I just missed it. I wish I could have been in there. Because I'm like, no, I wish you could have been in here too. Oscar said, yeah, I'm very surprised. I expected to have to time some people out. Right. I mean, we're not like, typically stuff gets pretty tame, but sometimes when we have conversations about more serious things, especially in the beginning, I feel like there were more, like Oscar, you were here for it. When I first started doing like regular live streams, we had a lot more people like coming in and trolling. Whereas when I stick to like a Thursday schedule, it's really not bad. Tanisha said, really enjoyed the stream. Have a wonderful night. Bye. Bye, Tanisha. Have a good night. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. The Marthaful said, I just hope someone actually advocates for Dani. Absolutely. Joker's Ghost said, look, as a girl who's a few years older than Dani, I can't even imagine the pain she's going through right now. The procedure and still being called hot by 42-year-olds in their basement. I just can't. Yeah. It is such a sad situation. But alright. Well, looks like that's pretty much it for thoughts. Up to McGee said, I'm just sad because there are so many people who would be such a good parent to Dani and she got stuck with Jen. Right, like her dad genuinely seems to care about her, so it would be great if she could be with a parent who like actually wanted to parent her, but we'll just have to see where it goes. Count Von Lilson said, thanks, B. I didn't have too much to say today because I was listening and reading other people's comments. I always like to hear the perspectives in this chat. Take care, everyone. Druggy Vibe said, not about Dani, but what's your thoughts on Jenna and her boyfriend following Shane again and him making new merch? Sorry, I would like to know. I did not know. This is the last thing I'll say and then I'll go. I didn't know that they followed Shane again. But I mean, the thing is, like, they have a personal relationship with him, so who am I to say that? Because I was thinking about this with Morgan Adams, too. Like, who am I to say that her, Jenna, or Morgan's, or Julian's perspective on Shane is inaccurate? I mean, I have my opinion of Shane. It's clearly very different from theirs if they're following him as a friend. But, I don't know, I try to kind of, when it comes to, like, personal relationships, I try to understand that my perspective on someone as a person isn't universal, so they can do what they want to do. But I got the email. I forgot I had subscribed to Killer Merch, and so I got the email about his new merch yesterday, and I was like, nope, not gonna happen. Like, I think it's very bold of them to have sent that email yesterday. I'm not about it. Alright, last one. Caitlin said, I think having sex so young is not a sign of a happy child. A parent can't control the mistakes their kid makes, but they should give them the support and privacy they need in such a dark time. Yeah, I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to end it on that. Again, thank you guys so much for, like, the thoughtful, well-constructed comments that you leave. I love being able to have situations about these really serious topics, but also be able to talk openly about them. I think it's a really cool thing that we can do, that we can have this time together. So thank you. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. If you haven't given this video a like and you liked it, if you could like it, that would be great. If you could give it a thumbs up, I would be so appreciative of that. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.